what they do in those interrogation rooms.
Yes, they do. It's like, you know, I started watching 24.
Oh, 24 is a great.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I realized that I didn't really even see the first season.
Oh, really?
So I just finished it. I blew it out in about, 4 or 5 days at night.
Yeah?
On Netflix. Man, it's good stuff.
Yeah, 24 is a great show.
All right. Well, let's see here. Okay, so anyways, let's don't even pay attention to the camera, but I will sit here so you kind of stare at the camera
Sure.
when we talk. But what I wanted to do was just sit down with you and just kind of get your opinion. We've been on the air now for almost 2 months.
Almost 2 months, yeah.
I guess my first and foremost question, because I haven't seen you since we sat down in this conference room and we presented the concept to you.
Yes.
Let me ask you one question. Why did you decide to participate in this program?
I was entering into a new market. I mean, we were entering into a new market for us, and I felt like the only way to really get the impact of what we wanted to do was to do something like this. I mean, it really did its job too. I mean, people know us now in the area, that's for sure.
Yeah, you've been on the air, like I said, 2 months. Why don't you remind me of, I think one of the reasons why you and Nicole chose to do this was because you were talking about the old school
Right. Yeah.
mentality.
The attorneys in the area here, they're great attorneys. It's just they do have a specific way of doing things in terms of, it's always been the same way for the last 25 years. It just is what it is. And as us breaking in new into the area and bringing on a different kind of concept and idea, we wanted something that would allow us to really brand that and give that image. And this has done it thus far. I mean, it really has gave us a different flavor than everybody else in the area.
Within your peer group of other attorneys in town, do they hear you?
They do. I mean, now other attorneys in town want to know who this is, so some have called, some have stopped by to see, who is it that they keep hearing on the radio. But yeah, they've been gracious. It's been okay. It's not something that's bad or looked down upon. It's just they're wondering who this new group is. It's gotten the name out there, which is really what I wanted out of this whole thing.
So the station is taking care of you.
Yes.
You're coming in and you're doing, you're participating in the morning shows, right?
Yes, we do. We do live spots every month where we kind of just talk about the law line or answer questions or what have you for just a few minutes. So that helps a lot. We see a real spike after that too. That's a big part of it. Is whenever we have that live segment, you see a big spike in calls and emails. So that's a big part of it.
So the phone's ringing. Tell me about the type of calls that you're getting.
Most of them actually have been good. In our area specifically, there's a lot of family law issues, a lot of criminal issues. So they've been focused a lot on those types of deals. But they've been good leads. We haven't had a rash of horrible calls. There are some, sprinkled in there where you have people that, just not all there maybe mentally, but mostly it's been really good leads. I mean, we've had a lot of people come in and retain, normally people that were not going to find us. That's to me, that's the biggest. These are people that would not have found us if it wasn't for this program.
So, about 2 months. I think not even 2 months.
Not yet.
Not even 2 months. You mentioned retainers.
Mm-hmm.
You want to quantify that?
My rough estimate on it, because I haven't sat down really and found the exact numbers, but my rough estimate is we've gotten at least 15 to 20 new retainers.
Okay. A lot of it family law?
Most of it family law, but we've had a couple of civil cases that have kind of fell in our lap, which, it's kind of the bread and butter of this whole thing.
So, out of all of the calls that have been transferred to you, going from category to category, which is the most type of calls to the least amount type of calls?
The most type of calls is family law. A lot of child custody, divorce, I don't know what to do in this situation kind of calls. I think that's really a product of our area, though, too, our market. What I had anticipated was a lot of personal injury calls, but we didn't receive a lot of personal injury calls thus far. Now, that could be in the way that we're presenting, I don't know. But I had anticipated that going forward, but it hasn't been a lot of contingency stuff. It's been a lot of real retainers, which in a way is good.
Criminal?
Criminals is probably the third one on the list. I would say people that have civil issues, landlord-tenant disputes, contract disputes are probably second. And then criminals third. People are a lot more hesitant to call about criminal stuff and really talk about it or email about it. It seems like they call and say, I have an issue, I need to meet with somebody. Then when they meet with you, they finally tell you the situation. So mostly I think family law, then there's a lot of landlord-tenant, civil, the minor civil stuff, then criminal, then probably more heavy contract stuff, and then personal injury.
Okay. Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
In fact, I've noticed with the programs that we do around the country, maybe it's just the time that we're in right now, the economic time, but it seems to me like we get a lot of family law type of questions, and maybe people are, and which sometimes will turn into a criminal type of an issue if it's
Right.
domestic violence or
Yeah.
anything like that. Okay, so the radio station is running a series of different messages, which is good. People are calling the law line. Is there anything that we need to change or anything that, I don't know, you're so busy, I don't know if you have time to check and if there's any...
I think it's going really well. It's it's building steam. I could see how something like this would be more, to me, when someone hears that name or hears that consistently, let's say I don't have a legal problem today, so it's not like a new restaurant where you're advertising and people are going to go try it in the beginning and then not think about it. I think that name awareness, that constant name recognition, becomes really handy when someone says, I heard you on the radio a month ago, or I've been hearing you, and now I have a legal issue, so here I am. What I think would change maybe is to maybe every month or so change the message a little bit so it doesn't become too redundant to the point where people tune out.
Oh, you're talking about the over-the-air advertising message.
Right.
Yeah, the High Desert Law Line message.
Yeah, maybe just change it up just a little bit every time, just so it doesn't become where people just kind of tune out because they've heard that commercial before over and over and over again to the point where people just tune out. Maybe just record a new one and do the new one. That's the only thing that I see maybe needs a little bit of tweaking, just because I could see how people can just become very callous to it in a way.
Sure. There's something that that I'd like to offer, and I don't know if it would help you or not. And I think about this for not only your purposes, but maybe for marketing purposes over the air, is that we have the ability to record these calls and send them to you as they're being transferred into your offices. And I don't know if that would be helpful to you or not.
It would be. I think it would be for training purposes. It would be for a lot of purposes. I think it'd be very helpful.
Okay, do you want me to set that up?
Yeah, I think that would really help.
So the way that would work is they're listening to the information online. They hit pound. As soon as they hit that pound key, our recorders start. We hear you answer the phone. And then we hear reception talking to that incoming call.
Right.
Is that something that you would want?
I think we would. I got to look and make sure that we put some kind of disclaimer
There would
that says that
there would be.
The call will be recorded.
For quality purposes or anything.
Yeah.
But do you think that would be helpful to you?
That would be helpful.
Okay, give me a little bit of time, but I'll
Okay.
work on that.
Yeah, that would be.
Because on the flip side of that, if we can get permission somehow, I think it would be interesting to hear maybe some people calling and using some of those audio snippets. Hi, I'm calling the High Desert Law Line because I'm having a problem with. We don't have to name names or anything like that.
Right.
There might be some audio that would make the over-the-air message a little bit more compelling. Something a little bit more real.
Yeah,
do you see where I'm going with that?
I see where you're going with it. I think it could be good. We got to look at the legality.
I know that.
But other than that, yeah.
Or and a great one, maybe just to help kind of prop up the PI part, would be if we could capture a call coming in to reception. And I just want, hi, I'm calling because I was in an auto accident 3 days ago and I don't know what to do. That type of message over the air, you know, it's like a real voice.
Right.
It makes, I think it just maybe brings a little bit more life into the program.
I think that would help probably tremendously.
Okay. All right. Okay. So as the calls come in, you guys are screening them in your office. Do you have like a procedure on how that's done?
We do. We set up a way to screen these calls where our receptionist actually takes the call, writes down the information. There are some issues that she just knows to set up the consult with a specific person depending on what kind of thing it is. However, if it's something a little bit more complex, she transfers it over to our lead paralegal. Our lead paralegal is the one that kind of funnels through it and decides whether it's something that we could do or not. For example, we get some medical malpractice calls, and we've got somebody that we know that does medical malpractice that we kind of shoot that over to, because medical malpractice is not really something that we're set up to handle. But believe it or not, that was another thing. We get a lot of medical malpractice calls.
What would that be? Someone going to the dentist and, you know...
we had just something the other day where somebody called and said, you know, I had broken my foot, I went to the hospital, they set it back together in a way that I ended up with an infection. And I don't know if it's medical malpractice or not, because that's just not my area of law that I look at. But we've created a contact with somebody that we can just kind of refer these to, because we're not set up to handle medical malpractice. It's just
no, I can understand that.
Big area of expertise that's just not ours. But so depending on the type of situation it is, our receptionist knows who to funnel it to. And we just set up consults. That's our goal, is to get them in the office, because I think if we can get them in the office, my thing is, if you can get them in the office, we can get a retainer. Just get them in the office.
What's your definition of a retainer? I know a PI retainer would be one thing, but another type of retainer, and this is where I'm just kind of like, I just don't understand. When they sign a retainer, they putting cash down?
Yeah, we ask for some kind of a deposit, definitely.
Okay.
And it's hard because family law is not one of those areas where people have a ton of cash to spend, but we do ask for some kind of a deposit, and we give them either an hourly retainer or a flat fee, depending on the type of a situation it is. But we've got a really high, consult to retainer ratio. So once we can get them in the office, I think we can usually get them retained.
What is the average family law case you think worth to you? And here's why, because as we do these programs in other markets around the country, you came in and purchased the rights to everything, like all categories of this program, which you can always add on to, by the way. If you find an attorney down the road that does medical malpractice and you're starting to shoot him a lot of referrals, you could ask him for, well, I'll put you up on the phone system.
Right.
I'll give you your own 9 little topics to talk about this, and you can charge him to maybe help offset your cost.
Definitely.
Okay, think about that. But when we go into new markets now, there are cases when we come into a market where one law firm is not buying the whole thing, and so we'll go out and we'll find a PI, we'll find a bankruptcy guy, and we'll piece together an overall law line, a co-op of attorneys.
Right.
Family law, we're seeing a lot of action on.
Mm-hmm.
Just for my purposes, what do you think? I know it's different in every city, but what do you think your average family law cases worth?
I would say the average from beginning to end is about $2,500 or $3,000. I mean, and it's right around there.
Okay.
And nobody's paying that up front. Let's just put it that way.
No, I wouldn't think so, unless you're the hotshot Beverly Hills type of an attorney, and then you're in a different category.
Yeah.
Um,
Most family law issues, you're looking at $2,500 to $3,000. I mean, there are some of those divorces where there's lots of money, lots of assets, more complex, and it becomes a $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 case. But most of them end up being right around that between $2,000, $3,000 kind of thing.
For marketing, and again, this is kind of new to me, okay? If you're a family law attorney and your sole practice is family law, and you're working off of these, between $2,000 to $4,000 deals with clients, what do you think an attorney would be willing to pay for every new family law not leads, and I don't know how leads work with attorneys.
Yeah.
You asked me about automotive leads, which is another program we have. I can tell you everything about automotive leads that you want to know. I don't know enough about the legal end of it and what attorneys, because you got pay-per-click marketing campaigns, you've got lots of different ways to generate activity, phone calls and everything else. But what do you even think about that?
No, we do. From a business perspective, it's one of those things where we have to start thinking of how much I'm paying to get this to come in through my door, and sometimes it's not worth it. Sometimes it is. We can't split fees, so it's hard to say that you have, it's not like it's a commission-based type of deal, but I could easily allocate, $250, $300 out of that family law case to advertising and still be okay.
Yeah, okay. I kind of figured that. That. It'd be about 10 or 15%.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Any more than that, and I think you're starting to, if you think about the hours that you're putting into it, the staff that you need to do it, it starts to become, are you just breaking even, or are you actually generating profit out of it? So.
You're a new office. Right?
Yeah.
By the way, do you feel like you're on 2020?
Yeah, I do.
You're a young guy. You've got a partner, Nicole. She's not here today. This program itself, has everybody rallied around this program in your office?
Definitely. Yeah, we've made it the central piece kind of our practice. So people are excited about it. Put extra attention into it. Again, I think it's a launching point for us in the area. People are starting to know who we are, and I mean that's what it comes down to. Is before you were one of 40 law offices in the area that you're new. How do you really break into this market to where people will know who you are? This has done it. I mean, people know the name. Like I said, other attorneys are calling, stopping by. It's a challenge from a lot of different perspectives. We go to court against attorneys that have been around for a long time. One of the challenges we've had that I didn't anticipate was the concept of, well, this kid must be coming for money because he's just buying all this advertising and breaking into the market that way. I didn't anticipate that kind of challenge, but that's kind of what's been, that
you're buying your way into the market. Well, what do you say to those guys that are dropping $100,000 a year in advertising in the market? Please.
Yeah, I mean here though in this area, to be able to do this, they know has cost a significant amount of money. What didn't help me, and this probably doesn't even help this part, but what didn't help me was early January there was a newspaper article here in the Daily Press that was printed about myself and my father. Mm-hmm. My father had just sold businesses and they in the area, and they posted that he just made, sold his business for $4 million. Mm-hmm. So what happened was, I think that combined with now this kid putting in all this advertising in the area, it gave the impression that, well, it's just, he's buying the market, which that was a challenge that I didn't anticipate. But now going into court against these other attorneys, they think, oh, he doesn't really know what he's doing. It's just, he's getting these clients from buying them. So then it's very simple though, because once you go to court, you make some headway with something, and they realize, oh, he's actually pretty good at what he does. It's a different story. So, different challenges, different times, but.
I love that. I love that. Because I remember when we were sitting here talking to you about this, I knew, I kind of felt that you were going to do it because of some of the things that you said during our meeting, which was, the most important thing that struck out is what we mentioned earlier was, I'm from Apple Valley. I love this area. I'm new. And I think that I think the guard's ready to be changed. The old guard. It was something like that.
Yeah, it is. It's time for it. I mean, it's time for things to be shooken up a little bit. I mean, I have a friend of mine that I went to law school with. She's a public defender in this area. And we talk a lot. And another public defender in the area is actually, and maybe this probably shouldn't go on.
Don't worry.
But another public defender in the area is dating a woman that's married. That woman's husband came into our office seeking representation for a divorce and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, listen, nobody in the area wants to take this case because it's against pretty much, the public defenders on the other side of it. And I don't know what to do. I've got 2 kids. My wife is dating this public defender, and he thinks he can pretty much get away with whatever he wants to get away with. I said, sure, we'll take it. Came in. Well, she went into court unrepresented, and he was, this public defender was like, this guy's the new guy in the area. He's the one that bought all this advertising. He probably doesn't know what he's doing. So don't worry. So she went in unrepresented and just got creamed. I mean, we just really got what we wanted for our client in court. So my friend, this public defender, told him, I told you, and this is something she was talking to me about. She said, you better get her a good lawyer because you don't know Jimmy, and she went to school with me. So she said, you better lawyer up. Don't anticipate.
Knocky. Hey guys.
Hey.
Y'all ready to go and get recorded?
I think so.
Oh, you still have one more deal to go?
I have a recording, I think.
There you go. I have no idea. I'm just there to record you. You have.
You're doing your afternoon thing, right, or whatever, right?
Did I just barge in on your?
Yeah, don't worry about
your
it.
cool tripod there.
Do you like my tripod?
Nice. I like that, man. Very much.
5 minutes.
You got it. Not a problem. Take your
Okay,
time.
thanks.
I apologize for.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. So, where'd you go to school?
University of Laverne College of Law.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yep. Isn't that up here?
It's in Ontario.
It's in Ontario. Okay, that's what I thought. Good.
So it was a it's an interesting thing that once people, that was a challenge I didn't anticipate. It just didn't dawn on me that that's the kind of reaction that I would get was, he's buying himself into the market. He's just got a lot of money. He's buying himself into the market somehow.
Mm.
Not out of experience or success, but more just buying himself into the market.
Wow.
So, you're always going to face something.
Wow. Cool. All right. Well, let me ask you a couple questions. I'll let you go. How can we improve?
I can't say that there's something specific that we have to do other than, like I was saying, to change up the message every once in a while so that it doesn't get redundant. But other than that, it's been going well.
Okay. What other type of questions should I ask you? I didn't come up scripted because
Sure.
I didn't want to come across as scripted, more conversational.
No, that's okay.
Well, know that we can make changes at any time. Okay, so if we want to change up the phone system, if we want to add anything, you're only using, I don't know, like 5 main topics, I think.
Right.
So if you ever want to add a topic, and again, if you want to monetize this to help kind of offset your weekly
Right.
investment, you may want to consider bringing in some of your other peers that you're working with on referral basis. Talk to them about the concept, maybe not allowing them to have the full access of the overall
But
over-the-air
maybe just have-
campaign, but maybe for putting a button on the phone,
One section
and
forwarding.
you'll know. So when people call, And if we're going to transfer a call into your referral partner's office, we can copy you on the notification, just so you can kind of keep track
Sure.
of.
Yeah, that may work. Especially with some of the areas that we don't do.
Well, I mean, you mentioned the medical mal, which you're not
Yeah.
not even doing, and that's fine. But there may be calls, or you may be getting calls coming into your offices for stuff that you're not working on, or you are working on, and it's not on the phone system.
Right.
So maybe there's been a call that, I mean, are you getting bankruptcy stuff?
We do get some bankruptcy. It's not massive, but there are some bankruptcies.
Is that even worth it for you?
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't like bankruptcy.
Okay, all right. And I'm only thinking because we're in California, there's a ton of foreclosures,
Right.
and I don't even know if we want to mess with that.
It's ugly. It's a very, very ugly place. I mean, and that's just me. I just hate bankruptcy law. I really do.
Okay, all right, that's fine. That's fine.
I hate practicing
Well,
bankruptcy.
Jimmy, just know that you can always add stuff.
Sure.
All right. Anything regionally or anything topically that would be newsworthy, that has a legal bite to it, we can always add something to the program. I think we talked about that
Yeah.
when you were here.
Yeah.
We're sending now these calls to this new Google Voice account that
Yeah.
we set up with Brenda. Is it Brandy? Brandy?
Yeah.
Is that working okay?
It's going well. It's going good.
All right. And by the way, ever since we did that, we've noticed that people really aren't calling back. I think there was an issue with your
There
phone
may have
system.
been. Yeah. Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. It's working now. I think that's it, man. I just wanted to come up and just capture something that we can, and out of this 20 minutes or so, we'll probably end up with maybe a minute or a minute and a half. I'll send it to you for approval
Sure.
before we do
No,
anything.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Absolutely. So
right.
far, so good.
All right.
We're good.
All right. Well, you know how to get a hold of me.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in.
Yep. No problem. This is John. Good. How are you, Zach? Yep. Hang on one second.